cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
Do you ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
All right, welcome in to the View from C-Deck. We're back, baby. After a little bit of hiatus while I was overseas and trying to figure out my internal clock when I got back here, because I think, is it nighttime now? Is it Sunday? I have no idea. But here with the Haas and Direwolf, I'm just Matt, and this is the View from C-Deck, Buckeye podcast. And we have a lot to talk about because the marquee matchup everyone had circled on the calendar before the season, Indiana coming to the shoe on Saturday, is here. Yes, but it will be a top 5 matchup, at least by the AP and probably the CFP as well. And it's going to be a huge game, but we got to talk about the Buckeyes' effort against Northwestern Saturday first. And Haas, will start with you. First quarter, we're watching them march up and down the first baseline of Wrigley Field on us defensively, and we have a little struggle on offense too. What were you thinking Saturday as you watched the Buckeyes get ready for this huge monumental top 5 matchup?
I was just waiting for the defensive adjustment. We were just really aggressive there, blitzing a lot, just kind of full sending 6 or 7 guys at them. And they were just taking advantage, doing dump offs, doing quick crossing routes, and then taking a quick shot along the sidelines. That they kind of had some nice catches. They had their 2 best offensive players are other receivers. So I was expecting them to kind of get some plays in the passing game here and there. But then once Knowles backed off the pressure and basically made them kind of, see if they could control the line of scrimmage in the running game, which they were never going to do that, then the game kind of settled in for us. And it was never really a game that was in doubt. I just knew that once the defense kind of backed off, we were going to get control.
Yeah, what did you think there, Direwolf? Yeah, also hit some of that draw on 3rd and 13 because we were overly aggressive. Kind of annoying. A wide receiver screen 2 on like 3rd and 10. It was a little annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked about the start. I was actually okay with him trying different things. Reminded me of year 1 Knowles, like ultra aggressive, getting bit in the ass with big plays, but there still wasn't that many huge plays, which they were just kind of, like he was saying, sending 5-6 guys. But it goes back to that. I want the perfect combination, which it's hard to do, of year 1 Knowles and year 2 Knowles, of being ultra aggressive and also bend don't break type of thing. So hopefully he's getting it figured out. I mean, it seems like he tried it, realized it wasn't working, and went back to what he's comfortable with pretty much.
Yeah, there's still a decent amount of aggression though. I mean, Sonny Styles ends up with 2 sacks. We were blitzing him a lot. Thought overall the defense performance was solid after that. The first quarter also, I mean, Northwestern's coming off the bye. Seemed like they had us scouted pretty well. They knew when we were going to blitz or where to put the guys or when to run draws and screens. And once they got past those initial play sheets that you have to start a game, then we just settled in, like you said, and dominated. Offensively, go ahead.
I want to say though, you mentioned in our group text you bet on. I think you said you bet on Indiana Northwestern plus whatever first half or first quarter, and then us third quarter. I might do the same thing in this Indiana.
Yeah, and I just missed because of that botched punt by Northwestern totally screwed me over on that bet, because I just knew we looked bad, and then they end up scoring on that drive, but they were just also running the clock down so much. I'm like, we're not enough possessions to beat the spread right now.
Yeah. Yep.
But offensively, we'll start there. Will Howard has another pretty nice game throwing the ball around, dropping some dimes. Only bad thing was like a Northwestern safety trying to rough up Jeremiah Smith multiple times, shoving him into the ivy wall, no call, tearing at his ankle and knee when he tackled him like a gator roll. How's that not a penalty? How's that not? It's like something like a horse collar, Jason.
I mean, after watching all the missed calls and stuff yesterday and today in NFL and college, I can see the refs are just freaking blind. I mean, I saw a guy get a right hook to the face yesterday, and the refs didn't call it. So I'm gonna let the Gator roll go. If that Gator roll be fine if that doesn't get called.
Yeah, shared an interesting stat with you guys. We'll see if it comes up big in the Indiana game. That we are dead last. Ohio State is dead last in opponents' penalties in the entire country, 134th. We're at like 3.5 a game. And we've had, I believe, 1 combined in the last 2 weeks called against Northwestern and Purdue. I mean, the bottom 5 are all Big Ten teams, so it's probably more of a Big Ten ref thing, which we always said they don't have it out for us. They just freaking suck. But we were 126th in the country last year, 89th the year before that. I remember when Tressel was there, we always had this issue. And like, we're the more talented team in 95% of our games. We should be getting more calls most likely, right?
Yeah. You would think it's infuriating. After I was at that Purdue game, I think I told you, and like, I remember thinking, has there been a single penalty called on these fools? And then I looked at the box score at the end. Actually, no, 0. When does that ever happen? Especially against a terrible team.
Yeah.
They're just well coached. They're just well coached.
Oh yes, they're also well. That's why we stink on offense, Jason, this conference, because we're just too focused on not committing penalties.
Yeah, Purdue's trading the penalties for the wins. Like they'd rather have 0 wins and 0 penalties.
All right, what'd you guys think? And then obviously second half though, once we got going offensively, we just outscored them 10-0, win our third quarter like normal. And defensively we take over. What do you guys think of Wrigley though? I think I hated it as much as I thought I was going to.
I was, it was cool, whatever, seeing it in a baseball stadium, but I was over it pretty quick.
I've been to Wrigley for a baseball game and it was awesome. I knew about 6 or 7 people at the game. I have yet to talk to them about it. It would have been cool to go. I think it's better than their old stadium. I think their new stadium will be better because it kind of has a really cool angle of the skyline. So that's kind of exciting to see their new stadium. So, but I thought I was pretty good with it.
Yeah, I mean, it would, I guess, as good as hope, except for Jeremiah getting shoved into the ivy, I guess. That was like the one worry was probably those end zones I had. But yeah, overall, I guess it wasn't terrible, but I could do without it. All right, enough of that though. Time to get to what we all, like I said, we all saw this coming. 10-0 Indiana marching into the shoe with a head coach that just received a fat ass raise, about up to $8 million a year now for Curt Cignetti. But hey, if you go look at the stats, Indiana, you'd think they were us. Our stats are almost the same all across the board. Even our player stats are like almost the same all across the board. Well coached team. They have dominated everybody but Michigan. They won by at least 14 until they played Michigan, but Michigan also by far the most talented team. And nobody they played is that good. So what are you guys expecting Saturday in the shoe? Top 5 matchup. Huge game. Huge playoff implications for seeding more than probably an actual spot. Although this is definitely huge for the Big Ten championship. The winner is probably going to.
You can
start with you.
Okay. To me, I am nervous going into this game. I mean, in years past, it's kind of been hit or miss with them. We either destroy them or it's a freaking nail biter going down to the end. I remember the Jalen Marshall needing 4 touchdowns out of him to beat them one year. I think even the COVID year when they were good, they gave us a good game.
We jumped out like 28-7 or 28-0 in that game and ended up winning 35-28.
Yeah. So, and that's when they're not real. I mean, that year they were 5-0, I think, when they played us, something like that. Mm-hmm. But even when they're not good, they've given us good games. So they worry me. There's only a handful of teams that legitimately worry me, and I think they're on that list. So we seem to come to play against big opponents, even though we lose these 1 point, razor thin games, but we don't come out sleepwalking like we did against Northwestern or Nebraska, games like that. So I think we're going to come to play, but they worry me a little bit.
All of my eyes are on Denzel Burke and Igbinosun. I mean,
I agree. I agree.
I think it's pretty straightforward. We are the more talented team across the board, and I think in the trenches is where it sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, I know they've been very good up front, and he brought over some guys, the James Madison, like 8 of their starters that came with him. I know they're good, but if God is willing and we don't control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, something is terribly wrong. I can understand if they beat us in the past because we know Denzel Burke gets burned and Igbinosun, whatever. If we get burnt that way, we knew it was coming. But if we give up the runs and we give up just a total blow up of their offense, then something's systematically wrong. So that's where my eyes are, is just, hey, man, I'm expecting us to be good everywhere. Just secondary, that's going to be what's got to hold up.
I think on offense, there's one other worry, and that's Mikael Kamara, their DN, 9.5 sacks this year, had 7.5 last year. James Madison, he's the real deal coming off the edge. And obviously, our tackles are not the best pass blockers. They're basically guards playing tackles. I mean, Donovan's getting better, but is he ready for a guy who is right now an elite pass rusher? I don't know about that. I mean, he got destroyed by Carter from Penn State. Go ahead, Jason.
I mean, we're running it more than we did last year. I mean, I think by far we're running it better than we did last year, even though, and this offensive line's better. A lot of confusing things, but the biggest confusing thing to me is the lack of Travion. It seems Quinshon's got like 35 or 40 more carries than Travion, and Travion's averaging over 1.5 yards, almost 2 yards a carry more than Quinshon. I mean, maybe Ryan Day and Chip Kelly are playing this genius thing of where they're saving Travion because he's been injured, and he's had injury bugs, and they're saving him, and they're saving the passing playbooks. I get it, but it's got to start showing this week. And this is where the offensive line, you can relieve the pressure, and you're going to just fucking unload Travion this week. And I think that's got to be what we do.
I was thinking very similar, actually. I was actually kind of pissed that he didn't start against Northwestern, but it's Northwestern, whatever. But he had the freaking hot hand last week, man. He touched it like 8 times and had 130 yards or something crazy. Like, I mean, Quinshon is great, don't get me wrong, but Trey, man, he seems like he's on a mission every time he touches the ball this year. I'm with you. I hope he starts.
Yeah, I mean, Quinshon ain't chopped liver exactly out there. He's averaging like 6 yards a carry. But Trey's averaging like 7.5. A part of that too, though, I think, is the way they're used. I mean, Quinshon gets his averages hurt by having 2 1-yard touchdown runs. I mean, like he's getting a lot of those like shorter, more of those type of situations. He's touching the ball, the short yardage stuff, than Travion is, and that'll hurt your average a little bit. But I'm with you that it does seem, I think, Jason, you're right, that it feels like that they've been saving him, or either one. Like, I want whoever's got the hot hand when it comes to these playoff games and stuff now, these big games, I don't want them out of the game. If somebody's hot, keep them in. Get the other guy in there to give him a spell, and if he gets hot too, okay. But, if there's a game where somebody's not reading the holes right and just has a bad series, and the other guy comes in and rips off like 7 yards a carry for a series, keep that guy in the game. I'm with you. But we'll see if it's just been a thing. But Indiana does the same thing. Their top 2 backs have almost the exact same amount of carries and have like a similar yardage type thing, and they both have 9 touchdowns. So they're spreading it around too. Maybe that's the thing now. This committee, backfield by committee. Indiana's offense also, though, they have a lot of guys touching the ball. They have 5 receivers with at least 24 catches, and their tight end has 17 catches. We're basically throwing it to 3 guys on offense. When we pass the ball. I guess the running backs too will dump it off every now and then, but they're spreading the ball around. It'll be interesting to see how those DBs hold up. You're right, Jason, because right now Denzel and Igbinosun both give me worries from time to time. I think this is a really big game for the D-line, though. Again, we need them to have a game where they just dominate. I think if we're gonna pull away in this game, we can win without them dominating and getting 4 or 5 sacks, but it'd be nice to see Jack Sawyer, where he'd been all my life. I guess he had the forced fumble, even though it's 15 yards downfield on Saturday. Either one of you can talk.
I was waiting for Casey. No, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see what Knowles decides to do early on, like he did in the Northwestern game. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a chess match, and you're going to kind of see if Knowles can kind of balance the pressure and if he needs to bring pressure, because they spread the ball around so much, kind of like Joe Burrow-esque in his early years with the Bengals, where you bring pressure, he just dumps it off. You don't bring pressure, you can pick you apart, his receivers get open. So it's going to be one of those games where can we bring pressure to make sure that, Burke and Igbinosun aren't covering all day, but then are they going to leave the middle of the field open and our linebackers are going to be But Downs and Styles, obviously the ability to cover the tight ends and the guys over the middle is going to be the X factor, I think, to me. The defensive line, we don't know what the hell we're going to get from them week to week, it seems. So Downs and Styles controlling the middle of the field is going to be, I think, the big key.
Yep, I was going to say that about Downs. And then back to I think you texted in our group chat how Knowles you thought he was getting impatient because Northwestern was just draining the clock. They're basically playing not to lose, like, trying to bleed as much clock as possible. So he felt like he had to blitz more. Indiana is not going to do that. They're going to play their game. They're going to think, our best against your best. So I think that might go out the window. He's not going to get overly aggressive, I hope, because that can really bite us if it goes wrong. So I think it's going to be more like the second half, hopefully. But I'm with you, though. We need it doesn't even need to be a DN. It can be Ty Lee, somebody on the defensive line to have a freaking game, like 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss or something.
If we're going to pull away, I think that's going to have to happen. I mean, they're coming off a bye. This is a huge game for them. As long as they don't get blown out, they're in for sure. I think they're in no matter what, even if they do get blown out, but they're in for sure if it's like a 10-point game. So they know that. They're a confident team. They played us tight last year, which should give them even more confidence, even though, there's a lot of different players playing. So the spread is 11.5. Well, it's 12 now. Open at 11.5, which I think to me is not the best sign that Vegas thinks we dominate. Like if it was like it's a big spread for a top 5 matchup, but if it was like 14.5, I'd be like, oh, they think we're going to kill them. 11.5 though, that's in that like they're not quite sure range. So it leads me to think that I want to take like Indiana barely though. I'm thinking like 34-24. I do think we give up some points though. I like the over a lot. It's at 51.5 right now.
I think this might be the first time that I pick against us in this game. If I don't think we're going to cover, I usually do either the over or under. But I mean, my gut says it's a close game, and 11 points is way too much to me. But maybe you're right, and they think we're just going to murder them. But
I don't think they do think we will. I don't think they think we're going to murder them. Just that line just doesn't say that to me.
Yeah, it's a weird line for sure. I figured it was going to be about like 8.5, 9.5. But yeah, I think I would take Indiana, but obviously I'm not actually going to bet on that.
Yeah, I won't be betting this game. I might bet the over, but I will not bet the spread on this game. Jason, what do you think?
You call me the Debbie Downer, but I think we fucking kill them. Their schedule is awful. I mean, their best win has 5 wins. All of the teams they've beat the most is 5 wins on their schedule. They've played nobody, and I get it. They're beating everybody, and there's beating them supposed to be. You play who you play. But the one team they played with talent on defense was Michigan, and they only scored 20 points on them. First half they did good. In the second half they just got shut out at home. I don't see them scoring more than 17 or 20 points on us. I think we can hang up 45 on them. If Will Howard spreads the ball around like he should and it gets Emeka involved, which I don't know, his draft stock has plummeted. Thank you, Will Howard. If he spreads the ball around and gets everybody involved, I think we kill him. I know I'm excited. I know you call me Debbie Downer, but I think we kill him this game. I really do.
Will Howard gets the blame for everything with you.
He does. Somebody's got to.
Will's been fine. I've never been an Emeka will be a great NFL player guy. I don't see it. He's not that quick. He's not he's not as quick and fast as you would think for a guy who was like a 5-star athlete coming out of high school. And he's still not like a great ball. He's gotten a lot better, I guess, over the last couple of years. But his ball tracking and route running is not like, I wouldn't call it elite. He's got a good feel for like zones and where to sit in. But I've never thought he's a guy that would be even a number 2 wide receiver in the NFL.
Real quick, though, I want to push back on their schedule a little bit because it is trash. But the last 2 national champions, like through this week of the season, 10 weeks in or whatever, had basically the same strength of schedule. Georgia and Michigan last year had a ridiculously cakewalk schedule until the last couple of weeks of the season. But nobody said anything. Well, we were bitching about Michigan because it's Michigan, but nobody really cared about Georgia's schedule because it's like, it's Georgia. They're killing everybody. And Indiana's actually winning by a bigger margin of victory than either of those 2 teams. So I don't like the schedule argument if they're dominating everybody.
Yeah. 43-13 is like their average score right now. I mean, that's what you should do against that schedule. But if you're an elite team, so I think they are an elite team. And the way they play offense and the way they play defense, their defense is what could be very overrated though. And you're right, Jason. We could put up 40 on them and it wouldn't stun me at all. I think more by 34 is more that I think they'll be able to stay on the field against us, and we'll just have fewer possessions like we have all year. So we're only averaging like 37 a game right now, and a lot of that's like pace related. But I think it's gonna be a great game. And all the big noon type talk last week, whatever, I don't see why most people care about that, to be honest. And I don't know, 3:30 would be fine by me. It'd probably be better, but it's also, end of November. It's not. I see why they wouldn't want to do that. And noon games, or a night game is not going to happen. And that's Ohio State. It's not we don't want, like Gene Smith always said, we did not want night home games in November. So, just take noon and live with it, I guess, for now is my thought.
Better hope we win the Big Ten championship, because it'll be butt fuck cold in the shoe.
It will be. I hope it is, though, and I hope we play like.
It would be a night game. It would be a night game, a home playoff game in the shoe if we don't win the Big Ten championship game. Holy crap, it'd be cold.
It's 50-50 chance it'd be a night game.
That'd be freaking awesome, though, man. That would be amazing to have a home playoff game. I wish they did not do it the way they're doing it. The second round just have freaking
home playoff game against Colorado, and we annihilate Shedeur Sanders. Ooh, that would ease the pain of losing to Oregon twice, I guess. But I'd rather just get that 1 seed, I think, at this point.
Could you imagine a worse outcome, though, if we lost to Colorado? And
I'd climb to the top of Ohio Stadium and just jump off, I think.
I'm kind of rooting for Colorado.
Of course.
Not rooting for them, but like they got a lot of hate last year. And he's not doing anything with them. They got a lot of hate this year. Now that they're doing something, nobody's talking about him, doesn't want to give him credit for he's actually bringing in the boys, and he's inspirational guy for those players.
I'm impressed that they've got with their season this year. I am. But they're still pieces of shit. They are. The Sanders family are assholes. F them.
Of course you like them, and you don't like Ohio.
Nick Saban likes them. That's why I like them.
Because they do Aflac commercials together. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week, though. We're going to make another podcast, though. We're going to talk about all of these scenarios, like perhaps Colorado entering the shoe, but more scenarios about who can make it and what conferences are going to get how many teams. And also, how can you not like this 12-team playoff? Look how many freaking games matter in the month of November right now, and all the different implications that so many games have. Oh, the games won't mean the same. Ask everybody in the Big 12 who's going to play this weekend and has a chance to make it to the conference championship game and thusly the playoffs. If it's better this way, or if the games mean more or less than they did before. But for the Haas and the Direwolf, I'm just Matt. Like, subscribe, comment, tell us your thoughts and predictions for Indiana and Ohio State. Should be a great game Saturday. Go Bucks, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey, guys. Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.